25 days until midterms kick off, and will 40 painful seconds change the race on its face? Welcome, everybody. I am Charles Payne in for Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. In this exchange by Kentucky Democrat Senate candidate Allison Lundgren Grimes getting a lot of attention.
Did you vote for President Obama, 2008, 2012?
You know, this election it isn't about the president. It's about making sure we put Kentuckians back to work.
Did you
and
vote for it?
I was actually in 08 a delegate for Hillary Clinton, and I think that Kentuckians know I'm a Clinton Democrat through and through. I respect the sanctity of the ballot box, and I know that the members of this editorial board do as well.
So you're not going to answer?
Again, I don't think that the president is on the ballot as much as Mitch McConnell might want him to be. It's my name.
And then there's Senator Jeanne Shaheen, the Democrat running against Scott Brown in New Hampshire, saying the president has no time to visit her state.
Having the president come would not be helpful?
Well, the president's dealing with a lot of crises in the world right now, and I think it's important for him to continue to address what's happening with ISIS, to continue to address the Ebola scare, and so I expect him to be in Washington.
So is the president kryptonite for vulnerable Democrats? GOP strategist Lisa Booth says absolutely. Even Democratic strategist Nomiki Kantz isn't surprised by what's going on. Lisa, it would appear to me that 40-second pregnant pause, the whom-has, that almost said it all.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, look, President Obama is politically poisonous to Democrats right now. This is the president who, especially in Kentucky, has decimated the coal industry, who's dismantled our nation's health care system, and who is directly responsible for an anemic economy that's squeezing hardworking families and small businesses. He is politically poisonous.
This is not about the president. This is about Mitch McConnell, who's sweating right now. Last month, Mitch McConnell was leading in the polls. This month, just this week alone, Grimes has come out ahead.
Have you checked the polls, though? Mitch
Yes,
McConnell's
just this week alone. No, just this week alone. So last month, McConnell was losing with men in the 39 to 45 age group by 10 points. Now, Allison Grimes is up by 11 points.
With all due respect, Nomiki, it looked like the only person sweating was the Democratic candidate there who and by the way, her talking points were that the president was tough on coal, tough on guns. I mean, these are things obviously that Kentuckians care about.
Sure.
And she knows that the president has been adamant against these things, adamantly against them.
But you know what? Out of all the states, you know which state has been most successful with the Obamacare rollout? Kentucky. Kentucky actually is showing more progressive leaning, and this is a very tough race. Mitch McConnell has been looking for an opportunity. He's been looking for an opportunity, so she paused, she slipped up, and it's an October surprise. And I think that he's worried about these polls.
Well, here's the thing, Lisa. I think it feels like a lot of Democrats are slipping up by turning the other way when it comes to the president. And it doesn't seem like a lot of them are greeting him with open arms and going hand-in-hand campaigning.
That's typical.
Right. No, look. President Obama's approval ratings, I think, are in the 30s in Kentucky, and they're about 42 nationwide. So President Obama is politically poisonous, and this election will be a referendum on his failed policies. And it's not just red state candidates like Allison Grimes that are running from President Obama. As you've already shown, it's blue state Democrats like Jeanne Shaheen and Mark Udall in Colorado, because they understand the fact that Americans aren't happy with President Obama and his failed policies.
But this happens every election, every midterm. When there's a lame duck president, people come in these swing district states, and
it happens because President Obama's policies have utterly failed Americans.
Well, then why is Obamacare doing so well?
We have the lowest workforce participation rate since the 1970s. We're facing an astronomical national debt. The President Obama's health care law has failed America.
In Kentucky, they've had the most successful rollout.
He has decimated the coal industry
One second.
in Kentucky.
Let me get in here for a second. Nomiki, are you actually saying, though, that you really believe Democrats across this nation are eager to campaign with the president? Because it really does. I mean, even a casual observer can see that most of them are keeping their distance.
Yeah, this is not about Obama versus the Democratic Party. This is about how when you're running in a swing district, in a swing state, every time, whether it's Bush,
Kentucky
Clinton...
is not a swing state. Kentucky is a red state.
Well, I mean, then the polls
You're
are saying that
absolutely incorrect.
she's leading by 4% right now. What
No,
are you
she's
gonna
not.
say about that?
She's down right now. Mitch McConnell is up by
this
5.
week alone.
Let's not quibble over the numbers because they are going to change from day to day. But I think that the gist of it all, though, is that even beyond Kentucky, and I'll give you the last word, Lisa, even beyond Kentucky, it does appear that Democrats are really, really reluctant to be seen with President Obama.
Nobody wants to be near him. As I've said, you've got Gene Shaheen in the safe blue state of New Hampshire who's running for him. You've got Mark Udall in Colorado who's running for him because nobody wants anything to do with him. His policies are an utter failure.
You guys are absolutely fantastic. Maybe you should run. I'd love to see you guys debate. Wouldn't be any pregnant pauses, I can tell you that. Thanks. All right, the president about to speak in Democrat-friendly California. Far from vulnerable Senate races where, well, he is not polling all that well. To campaign, Carl Cameron in Washington, D.C. with more on that. Carl.
Hey, Charles. Well, it really dovetails nicely out of the conversation you've been having there. The president's been campaigning. He just has been going only to liberal states to avoid going to the battlegrounds where he and his agenda are really unpopular and could drag down some of the Democratic candidates that they have to keep in office if they hope to stop the Republicans from taking up the 6 and winning the Senate majority. In his stead, the First Lady, Michelle Obama, is hitting the trail. Today she was in Michigan and in Iowa to stump for Democrats who are trying to prevent that GOP takeover. That would be 2 Democratic seats where incumbents are retiring and they're open seats for the 6 that the Senate Republicans would need to win over the control of the upper body. Democrats hope that the First Lady actually makes a better surrogate than her embattled husband. Last week he was in Illinois, blue state, his home state, pretty friendly audience, and yet what he said had Democrats wincing all over the country, including in those battleground states, because he said his policies are on the ballot. The president and his agenda are unpopular in red states, as you've been saying. The First Lady, on the other hand, is less unpopular and does energize some of those Democratic crowds. A lengthy list of vulnerable Democrats, well beyond Allison Lundgren Grimes and whether she voted for Obama in 08 and 12. You have Mary Landrieu, who's distancing herself on energy, Pryor of Arkansas, who couldn't even say whether or not the president was doing a good job in the Ebola scare, Begich of Alaska on a variety of things, Grimes, who says she won't, she won't tell anybody who she voted for. And in New Hampshire, it was referred to as a blue and safe Democratic state. A lot of folks in the granite state would tell you it's purple, and it switches back and forth right and left. And Shaheen has been pretty open about suggesting the president not come up to New Hampshire. She says he ought to stay down here and take care of his own job, and specifically mentioned things like ISIS and Obama and Ebola.
All right, Carl, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Hey, I bet everybody, all investors, are so glad to see this week go. The Dow dropping another 115 points today, diving 466 points for the week, nearly 3%. It is the worst weekly performance for the Dow since August. All right, well, how do you navigate these rough waters? We're going to be breaking it all down for you tonight on the Fox Business Network on my show, specifically to help you get through these tough times, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. All those Ebola screenings at U.S. airports starting to kick in. Now, even Democrats, though, are saying it's not enough. They're telling the president to ban travel. Will he listen? And with ISIS ramping up, is this any time for Gitmo to be closing up? The president may be making a new push just to make that happen.